The Tinder success story about imagine what our kids would look like. Real world, here we go. No experience. I texted my mom. I was like, Mom, I really need you right now. Flailing my arms, like swinging.
I heard you screamed.
Crap, you heard that? The aspect of my ears, my nose,
And lied to me.
There's literally no way I can pay for this. Fully fall out of love.
It's like, what do you mean we can't go on date nights anymore?
I don't care as much as I fall.
I was the sugar mama.
I was this asshole.
I would like act like I didn't know him.
No, strangle her sometimes with a bow.
Pregnant.
The guy just started crying. Me out of the room like 2 nights in a row. Dad, Mom, calm down.
We literally had to throw out a mattress, I think. It was disgusting.
Still to this day, it still scars me. I easily say that's the day in the moment we fell in love. That was good.
It's tingly.
All right. So we officially rolling?
All right.
Ooh. Nah.
Yes, please.
You want that?
Yes.
All right.
I like to look at myself.
I like to look at you. All right. This is cool, man. Welcome to the first episode of Wine and Whey. And this was kind of put together very last second. We were driving. Where were we driving?
To date night.
Yeah, we had a date night. First date night of prep, or after prep better yet. And we just started kind of putting together. I guess my creative juices started flowing again. And we came up with Wine and Whey. And you guys, backed by popular demand, wanted to have Megan more ingratiated in the content. Again, she's a little bit more raw in what we do, and she definitely has a personality, to say the least. And she's a unique perspective, kind of, being almost more behind the scenes when it comes to, dating a bodybuilder myself. And, sharing that experience has definitely, appreciated, or better yet, connected with you guys. And I don't know, I'm excited. This is cool. I'm sharing a passion with somebody it's very easily for me to be passionate with, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it's cool.
We got to start it off.
Yeah, we got to start it off. Yeah, Wine. How dope is that name?
Oh,
that's cool.
Can't do too big of a pour. It's the middle of the day.
If anybody remembers the Tipsy Q&A, we have to be very cautious. And by the way, we are having this podcast. We're having this podcast at like 1 o'clock.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So
you have yours?
I got mine. Cheers. All right. So I figured the best way to start this podcast is taking a step back and telling you guys how, we got started. And it's pretty funny, unique story. And our progression all the way up until this point has definitely been a little bit crazier and untraditional. But, it led us here. And definitely easily the happiest I've ever been in my life. And again, I would easily say, I'm a lucky man. So let's take a step back. I think it's only right if you kind of start off with the initial start of our relationship, since you are the one who technically initiated the first initial message. All right, so tell the people.
So we met on Tinder. I messaged him first.
The Tinder success story, by the way.
I messaged him first. It wasn't my words. It was my roommate's at the time.
And real quick, to bounce off that, like, keep in mind, it's funny because like a lot of the apps right now, we have no idea. Like I didn't know what Hinge was.
Yeah.
Hinge?
This was like back in the day when Tinder was the only one. It was the cool.
It was like the cool thing.
The cool dating app, yeah.
And I guess back then you were on that app for usually one reason, right? At least.
No, I was trying to find a boyfriend.
I was not trying to find a girlfriend.
I was graduating from college. I was working. Yeah. I wanted like a nice, successful man.
Yeah, that makes sense. And she got me, a college kid who was not necessarily successful, who was actually home for a semester because he got kicked out of school, by the way. And we're going to save that for a completely another
He was in trouble.
Yeah, we're going to save that for a completely...
And lied to me why he was home.
I honestly was embarrassed. But again, that was a crazy story in itself. So you guys have to stay tuned and keep tuning into these episodes because we're going to circle back on exactly what happened in that situation. But honestly, that was the turning point of our relationship in my life because that's how I met Megan. So again, continue. Sorry.
So yeah,
the message say?
It was something about kids.
I guess in its simplest form, it was imagine what our kids would look like. If we can find the message, maybe we'll pop it up on the screen. But it was just one of the messages that as a guy who's in college, who was on there for typically one reason, I was ready to DM back very quick.
But it wasn't like me because I'm not bold like that.
And that's the funny thing, because I could tell, like, once I started to get to know you,
you're like, that was not
her personality. But, you know, like, it got me in the door, literally. And so I guess a few weeks later, we had our first official date, which was at her apartment.
Which, again, I didn't know if he was lying to me. He said his friend was in a car accident, or his cousin. You said your cousin, which is Christian. He's not your cousin. He's your friend, your best friend.
Yeah, but Christian.
You said he was in a car accident. And I was like, is this kid lying to me? Is he trying to, like, get out of the date?
You know how Christian drives, though.
Yeah, he's scary.
Exactly. So he was in a car accident, by the way, in his Camaro, driving 110 miles an hour down a road, all the way going to Wildwood, New Jersey. So again, his personality mixed with a very, you know, fast car at the time, American muscle and Christian, to say, does not mix. But again, we met for the first time. You know, I went to her house, and
509 Vine Street.
509 Vine Street. That's where we first fell in love. And I don't know, man, it was special. I remember, you know, to kind of make a long story short, you know, after meeting her at your roommate was there, and I got to pick her roommate's brain a little bit, and it was really calming to kind of just be in that presence and having maybe not the pressure of just having a one-on-one right away and then having her there at the same time. It kind of took a lot of that pressure off, so the conversation flowed really nicely. And I do remember, I think I went in for a kiss and I didn't get the kiss the first date. Am I wrong? Like, I specifically remember.
No, you did.
I did. I got that. That's awesome. All right. So one thing I do remember is when I left your apartment and I was in your hallway, and you closed the door, and it was the end of the night. I was getting ready to leave. I just, like, kind of lost it. I started, like, flailing my arms, like, swinging, and just out of pure excitement.
I heard you. You screamed.
Crap, you heard that? That's crazy. To this day, this is the first time I'm hearing that you heard that. But I was just so excited.
I'm kidding.
But I was excited. I don't know. It felt right. And I think in that moment, I think I knew. It was hard, but I think, I don't know, I knew. And my original intentions could quickly change. And the second date, you know, happened pretty quickly. And I think that's when I was at my most awkward.
Yeah, we went out to dinner.
Yeah, like, I was
and we literally weren't speaking. Like, we were just sitting there, and I was like, oh gosh, this is so awkward.
It was so bad.
And like, if I feel it getting awkward, I get even more awkward. Yeah. So.
And it's so funny that we're, like, circling back to this, because I'm somebody who is not typically awkward. I usually am very easily going. I can have and hold a conversation. I can keep conversations going if they tend to start to, you know, get a little lull. But I just couldn't find the words. And another reason, I don't know, like, that's why I really started to realize, holy shit, I like this girl. Like, I really do. And I just didn't want to mess it up. And keep in mind, like, this is, 3-4 months out of a relationship for myself. So, like, I was also a little bit nervous. And then I just didn't want to, you know, go too fast. I didn't want to mess things up. You know, when you're in a relationship, which I was for over 3 years at the time, prior to Megan, it was, you know, you get so used to one way, right? You lose all the ability, I guess, to flirt and be witty or something. But I was not witty anymore. I did not know how to hold a conversation. And not to mention, you know, I started to really, again, like this girl, fall for this girl. And I didn't want to mess it up. So all that pressure on me at the same time caused a very awkward version of myself to come to life that night.
But it's fine.
Yeah,
it turned around.
We made it through. And, you know,
then, like, a month into, like, knowing you, we went to Niagara Falls together.
Our most spontaneous trip ever. And that, I can easily say that's the day and the moment we fell in love. I still have a picture on my phone.
I remember we, like, told our parents we're going to Niagara Falls after, like, a month of knowing each other. And it was like a 6, 7, 8 hour drive or something.
Yeah. And literally.
And I don't let anyone drive me. Anyone. Like, I'm the most paranoid person. I like to have control.
Literally to this day.
And I let him drive. So that must say something.
To this day, she still holds on to that little, like, thing on the side when I'm driving. So I don't drive, by the way. She drives. And it was ever since, you know, the moment seeing how terrified she was of seeing me drive. And I'm a Jersey driver, so we're very confident in what we do. And she is not confident in my driving. So it didn't necessarily correlate. And very early in our relationship, I said that, you know what, I'm done driving. You're driving from now on. And I stuck to it 5 years later. But again, you know, circling back to the spontaneous trip, we literally just up and went to a whole completely another country. And I think it's just because we wanted to see Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Like, it was just something that,
I don't know why. That was like
yeah, it was just
very random.
I know. And honestly, I'm happy we did, because
That's where the gambling addiction started too.
it was bad. We'll tell that in a second. But, you know, on our drive down there, you know, again, it was a long drive. It was a lot of good conversations. We left really early, and I just remember a scene in my head when the sunset or sunrise was coming up, and we were already pretty deep into the drive, and you were knocked out in the passenger seat.
That's crazy, because I don't sleep in cars either.
And that's what I'm thinking, like, now, because looking back, I thought that was a little crazy. You must have been really comfortable with me. But there was like a scene of just the light coming in. It was like a orange light. I don't know, man. It's had a sense of like happiness in that moment. It's still an image that I have to this day. But regardless, we get down to Canada, and we had a very cheap hotel, which what was it, the Red Roof Inn or something? And
was it sketchy? I don't remember it.
It was sketchy, like really sketchy. It was just a bed and a bathroom, a TV, and like, I understand that sounds like a hotel, but it just was nothing else. There was no personality to the room. It was just bland. And I guess
I feel like I remember that.
I guess it's a couple of college kids. I was broke. I didn't have a lot of money, so I was spending every dime. And again, I just remember one night we went out gambling with the money that I didn't necessarily had, and I tried to be a baller. I tried to give her a little bit of money.
And the really nice dinner.
Yeah, that dinner. We'll tell that in a second. But like, you know, we went gambling, and I still have the picture of you holding the money like this.
Is that the first time I played roulette?
So yeah, and you won. I gave you $20, and you turned it into like $100. And I remember just sitting here smiling. I was like,
which again, I was broke at the time, so that was a lot for me.
And I was broke, to say the least. So her leaving with a little bit of money, you know, I was like, damn, where's my money?
Was I still doing the $5 bets?
Yeah. And that's the craziest part, guys. If you don't know anything about roulette, it is a game that can go on forever, or it can be very drawn out by simply placing $5, $10 bets. And she still does that to this day. Very minimal bets. Meanwhile, I'm like 100, 200. I'm like,
because I like playing I like playing the game. I don't
it's exactly.
I don't care about the money aspect of it.
I like the reward of it. So it's a little bit different. Like, I want the rush, and I can't, if I lose $10, I'm like, all right, whatever. So again, you know, just kind of like circling back to it. After we went to like a really nice dinner, and the dinner was beautiful.
It was like, what was that?
It was like, what's that, skyscraper?
Yeah.
Like, it was like this, in this like crazy skyscraper.
Like, it was like a restaurant on top of like a pole or something.
Yeah. That honestly sounds weird, but that's exactly what it was. And
it like overlooked Niagara Falls, and it was like 360 view, like had windows all around the outside.
I remember sitting in that restaurant. You were ordering nice bottles of wine, which was totally fine. I told you to.
You're like, shit.
Yeah, and then we started ordering appetizers. We started ordering our food. And I'm sitting there, and I'm adding up the numbers in my head. And I'm like, there's literally no way I can pay for this. Like, absolutely no way I can pay for this. I texted my mom. Like, I went to the bathroom and texted my mom. And I was like, Mom, I really need you right now. Just like that. She sent over like $150. She helped me pay for the dinner, and she made it through that night. And again, that's still one of those moments where me and my mom have where I was like, the reason why me and Megan we're together is probably because of you. Because
imagine if you would have asked me to pay.
Or even imagine, yeah.
Or like the waiter came back with your card. Sorry, it was declined.
That would have been the most embarrassing moment of my life. I probably went in the back like scrubbing dishes just to try to pay for the bill. But regardless, like, we made an improbable thing happen, and it's a big reason of where we are today. Now, the reason why I think, you know, our relationship was so strong was because of the months that we were together. We seriously felt like in those 3 months, it felt like we put together a year's worth of memories. But then I had to end up going back to school. Mm-hmm. So like I told you guys, I got kicked out of school for a semester. And after that semester was over, I had to go back. And when I went back, you know, Megan then had to travel so often.
Every weekend.
Up
to New
York. And it was like a 2.5 to 3 hour drive out to Westchester, New York. And we had to try to keep that spark going the whole time throughout our, you know, relationship. We went from literally seeing each other almost every single day. Like, I was literally sleeping at your apartment, you know, after the trip almost every night, to the point your roommate started getting mad. And, you know, when you go from that to a long distance relationship, you know, it gets hard. And keep in mind, like, that was my junior year. So we had a full year left. Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely not easy. And when I don't know, that pressure or the lack of, being able to see you started to add up. I think that was like probably the hardest part of our relationship early on, or the first testing of our relationship early on. And I remember at the end of the semester when I had a decision to make whether or not I wanted to go back to school or not, because
for like a 5th year.
Yeah. So I had a 5th year option, which was completely paid for on a scholarship for football. I had to make a decision. I was like, okay, do I stay here another year, get my master's program, play the extra year of football? Keep in mind, like, I was a pretty good football player. So like, it was really hard for me to almost turn down that opportunity. I remember calling my dad and explaining to him the situation and what was going on in my head. And, at that time I started to slowly fall out of love with football, just because the demand that it required, combined with my new passions, which were lifting. In that year I was home, or the semester I was home, I started getting into the gym a bunch more and getting more consistent in the gym. So when I went back to school, for that final year, I continued to start lifting, and I completely fell in love with it. And at that time, my cousin Christian actually did his first bodybuilding show. So I kind of got an opportunity to see him go through it, and it just lit a spark, and it motivated me. And honestly, with the combination of a new passion, to you, and just kind of ready to start my life with you, it made it the easiest decision of my life. And honestly, the best decision of my life. That was the first time I ever truly decided to bet on myself, because I had no internships. I had nothing lined up. It was me saying, okay, real world, here we go. No experience.
You started Monarch Fitness.
Yeah. I started my first clothing brand like in college and trying to start something, right? Just trying to get some momentum. That was like my first true entrepreneurial investment into this. I ended up having to stop that, after I got the Alphalete sponsorship. But regardless, that was the first opportunity, I had to take on me to bet on me. And I think you were happy at the fact that I would be home more often. And I literally shortly after, once I decided to not go back, not only did my coach, he was hurt. So that hurt me. My dad, even though he was understanding, I mean, let's be real, as a parent, you don't want to tell somebody, or as a kid telling your parent, you don't want to hear the fact that you're turning down a full scholarship for a master's program, especially during a time where the tradition was to, get a degree, which I got a degree, but also to continuously, give yourself opportunity. And a piece of paper at that time meant everything, even though now to me, to a lot of people, this doesn't really mean much. But yeah, and then I made that decision. I came home for the semester, or I came home, and then literally
we moved in
right away. We moved in together. And at that time,
it's crazy.
Yeah, together for just over a year, somewhere around that time frame.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was once we really moved in together, I was really nervous, because I had a tendency in college of of just getting tired of people really quickly, like relationships and females. I was just like, it's a headache, man. It's just like, I would think I cared about this person so much, and then come to realize a month or two into it, it would just be like, I don't care as much as I thought. But when we moved in together and my love for you continued to grow and grow and grow, that's when I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is real. And I remember, because I had a 2-week decision, not even, I had a week decision to make whether or not we were going to move in together, right? Because I kept telling myself, I'll be at home for 6 months, say.
And it was, I was working out in King of Prussia at the time, and you were in South Jersey.
Exactly. So because you had the opportunity. So you originally were in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So now you were moving an hour away. Keep in mind the traffic probably made it 2 hours. And
so you couldn't commute. If you were to get a job out there, you couldn't commute from Jersey every day.
It was okay, Alex, do I get it? Do I go all in on the full adult thing, right? Not even living at home for 2 weeks and just move right in with, a girl you met just over a year ago, especially with the track record you have of falling out and in love with different girls, I feel like that quickly. And I trusted my gut, and we moved in together. And keep in mind, the apartment was beautiful and way too expensive. So literally more than half of my income was going to the apartment, and still to this day.
I was the sugar mama.
She definitely was the sugar mama, because she started making really good money. And the opportunities she kept rising in the company that she was in. And again, she was doing really well for herself. Meanwhile, I was fresh out of college, just had a marketing degree, which, I don't believe a piece of paper or a marketing degree really gives much value nowadays, but I will say this.
In the corporate world, I feel like.
Yeah, in the corporate world. Because like I truly believe learning how to market myself now pays dividends so much. But again, you know, we moved in together.
Got
Jackson. And, you know, to kind of, I guess, fast forward through it, that's when I started really bodybuilding, right? Because my first bodybuilding competition was right out of college. So you didn't really see me prep.
I feel like it came out of nowhere. Like, he just started prepping one day. I was like, what is this? I was like, what do you mean we can't go on date nights anymore?
So just as much as she had no idea what to expect, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew once I stopped, you know, being a bodybuilder, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to just do nothing. Or I didn't just want to just, you know, work in corporate and try to work my way up the ladder. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to, I don't know, just not be a narc, right? Is that what they call it? A non-athletic person?
Regular person.
Regular person, yeah. So I didn't want to just be a narc. I wanted to, you know, do something that, you know, continue to test me and my athletic ability, which like it's bodybuilding, not really athletic, but just me and my discipline, right? And committing to, you know, bodybuilding, just flip the switch. Like one day I went from eating Chinese food, pizza, pancakes, and just
gallon of milk.
A gallon of milk, like just a lot of nasty food. Keep in mind, my mom's a chef, right? So she would make just amazing food that wasn't necessarily the healthiest. And that's all I would eat all the time. And I made that transition literally just like this. And
then your mom went from making that to prepping what trays of chicken a week that you would pick up
every week, man. It was so funny. She would make me so much food. She would drive, and we'd meet like halfway. I'd pick it up, I'd bring it to the apartment. We did it when I was in college for a little bit. I would literally drive halfway, pick it up from college, because I didn't know how to cook. Literally did not know how to cook. And
I wasn't going to cook all that food either.
Yeah, no chance. And I wasn't going to put that amount of pressure on her, but we made it work. And we got through the first prep. I think what the hardest part was after the first prep, you didn't really see me prep that much through it. You were there to support me at the show, obviously, because I was like a little bit in college and then kind of lingered after. But what you saw was more of the after effects of that prep. And that after effects was like damaging to me.
We literally, I remember we were driving home from, it was like by the Jersey Shore, I think, and we were driving back to your house. And you had all of these sweets, like a Rice Krispies treat, probably the size of this table. Yeah, and then all of a sudden your like veins in your legs started like, it was disgusting. I was like, ugh.
That was right after the show.
Yeah.
So like, for those of you who don't know, like once you compete, and like, usually like the first few meals afterwards kind of brings your whole body back to life. That's why people usually, or sometimes will have like a burger or something right before the show, but it brought my whole body to life. My veins were ripping out.
And you're not a veiny person.
I'm not a veiny person whatsoever. And my veins just started coming out, like literally coming out of my skin. And she was looking, what the hell is happening to you? And I thought that was so funny. And then like, you know, actually, because later 6 weeks later, I did the Summer Shredding Classic. So you did actually see me a little bit more and for that 6 weeks in that prep. And I was suffering. Like, you know, it was not easy continuing in the prep, but that was like the really first hands-on experience you had with me when it came to the prep. And, you know, as much as you saw me win my first show that I've ever done, won the overall. And I think a big part of that, because I think a lot of it was me trying to prove to her that this
is worth it.
It's like not just something random. And I could be good at it, right? Like, I don't know where it's going to take me, but at least I don't suck at it.
Yeah, it's like you're changing everything about your lifestyle. Yeah. And I'm like, it has to be worth it.
It has to be, right? Because like I'm asking her to change her lifestyle too. We went from, you know, date nights. We went from, you know, bullshit food. You remember the seafood restaurant that we would order?
Strictly Seafood in Philly. It was this hole in the wall. So sketchy. But they had the best. What did we get? Crab or lobster?
Like, we got crabs. I
crabs. Crab legs. And they came with corn and potatoes, I think.
And it was just like so, like you can tell.
Like the butter and the oils in it was insane. It was
literally sitting in a layer of butter and oil. So like it was good but nasty. And I just specifically remember how like our lifestyle had to switch so quickly. But what I didn't expect, and I don't think you certainly didn't expect it, was what happened after the prep. And for me, that was the most damaging. And I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to respond. And, you know, I don't know. Still to this day, it still scars me. You know, so after summer shredding, guys, I gained 22 pounds in 2 days. And I literally went from, like, keep in mind, I won the overall summer shredding. So that's how I earned my Alphalete sponsorship. So after that show, again, I went from the best I had ever looked in my life. And then,
which looking back, you were really tiny.
yeah,
I was like, how did you win? I was like, if you would have do the same show today, like,
I know, like even the clients I have to do the show now, like they blow me out of the water. But prepping, or what happened after that was, damaging. Right, I gained 22 pounds in 2 weeks. So I went from like really lean, and even before bodybuilding, I was not fat. I was a football player, good body composition. I had good muscle. All this. I cared about lifting, but I didn't prioritize it. But after that, man, gaining 22 pounds in 2 days, and what it did to my look, to my body, to my confidence, to who I was, like, it destroyed me. So I wasn't even the same man as I was that whole prep, or even just before, really the man that you knew. And then it killed me, man. Like, I wore long sleeves all the time. My face blew up. Like every aspect of my ears, my nose, my cheeks, my stomach, like the back pain.
You were an ogre.
Literally. I got so big in the wrong way. I felt so uncomfortable to the point where you kicked me out of the room like 2 nights in a row.
For snoring, probably.
Well, for sweating.
Oh, and sweating.
Like profusely. Because my metabolism literally started shutting down because I literally couldn't stop eating. Like we
literally had to throw out a mattress, I think. It was disgusting.
It was like I was going through like a binging episode. And I just couldn't control it. And to the point where in the middle of the night, Cheerios, 2 nights in a row, I threw up. Like, in the middle of the night, I went to the bathroom. Like, again, this is involuntarily just throwing up. It was so embarrassing. I used to sneak to the fridge and start eating.
I was going to say, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, I used to sneak to the fridge to try to be really quiet in the middle of the night to try to eat food because I was so embarrassed. But I just couldn't stop. Something in my head, like, couldn't stop. And I'm really becoming the worst version of myself. And it took a really long time for me to get back into it. It literally took another prep for me to say, okay, I need to start getting control of these habits. And I used a prep as an example or a reason to kind of get back into it. Now,
or just like also realizing how the foods make you feel.
That's the thing though. Like, that's the worst part about the binging episode, because the food, I knew how the food was making me feel. Like, the low confidence, the literally feeling like shit, throwing up in the middle of the night, and just profusely sweating. Like, I knew how it was making me feel and look, and it wasn't enough to stop. Like, and for somebody who went from the most disciplined they've ever been, I never cheat on, even to the day, like in prep, I'd never cheated on my diet. And to like literally not being able to control anything, like having no discipline whatsoever, even though you wake up with the full intention of having the discipline, it killed me, and it killed my confidence. And like, I remember like thinking like, she's going to leave me. I'm not worth it anymore. Like, it was just playing so many mind tricks, and it wasn't easy. And I'm curious, like, just from your perspective, like, I know I was trying to hide a lot of things from you and do all these things, and you're not necessarily in the fitness industry in the world, but like, you've seen me prep now for 5 different preps, a total of 7 different shows. Was the experience of, I guess, dating a bodybuilder, like, how was that meant?
I mean, I feel like it's different every prep. Like, I feel like your mood swings and everything get better with every prep, and I feel like you have more control. But I don't know, like, I feel like over the years you've also got more strict with yourself. Like, you can be more lenient than you are.
Yeah, no question. I'm literally by the gram.
Yeah,
it's like, it's a mindset thing, I guess, more
like
thing.
You don't need to be a robot all the time.
I literally shut off the world, guys, when I'm in prep.
But it's weird because, like, I went from eating pasta and bread, bagels. I would make pasta sandwiches all the time.
You would literally only eat carbs. There was
no protein.
There was no protein, and there was only trace fats from whatever carbs you.
No, but like, dating him, it did teach me just things about what you should be putting in your body, and like, I don't follow it. Like, I still eat my carbs every day, but
well, you're really more aware.
But I'm more aware. Like, I need to be eating more protein on a daily basis.
And you make the attempts to.
Yeah.
You'll eat the chicken that I don't eat, or say if I like weigh it out improperly or whatever, or I'm making extra chicken, like, you'll eat it without question, right? So I think like you're starting to use MyFitnessPal more. You're wearing your Fitbit, you're tracking. And again, you're coming from a world of never being a bodybuilder ever, to like, starting to just be aware. I think that's half the battle. right? The people who just typically aren't aware, just go through the motions on a day-to-day, they know they probably should work out. They don't know how to work out. So you're learning a little bit more about, okay, this machine does this machine helps with my glutes, back, whatever.
Maybe one day I'll work out.
Well, no. Yeah, it's been really hard to shoot. I wanted to do like a workout video with Megan.
We can do one. That's just, don't expect me to lift any heavy weights. It'll be like 5-pound dumbbells.
That'll be a good video, just like kind of teaching the beginner how to get into it. But yeah, man, it's our journey has definitely been one to remember, right? And we went from winning a local show, winning summer shredding, binging episodes, to, you know, prepping through a pandemic together, which was absolutely insane. I literally had to drive.
You would drive to Jersey every single day.
From
pay the tolls to go from Philly to Jersey.
King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, guys. That's like 2 hours, right? So like, keep in mind, I would drive that every day. And keep in mind, what road is that? Well, the
76.
The worst road.
It's awful. Accidents on there every day.
Horrible.
It's always backed up.
Oh my God, guys. It was the worst thing ever. Like, I can't even put into words how horrible that drive is. And drive there every single day just to train and do cardio. And that window was so small because I had to do an hour of cardio and then train and then do like 30, 40 minutes of cardio and then come home. And that was every day. And I remember like that put a lot of stress on our relationship just because I wasn't around. I'd go right after work too sometimes. And it was a lot.
Didn't we have Jaxie then?
Yeah. Then we get Jackson.
Yeah. 2019. Yeah. I guess.
So like, again, and yeah, she was home with the dog and then she would have to walk the dog at night. And like, she didn't like walking the dog at night. She still doesn't. And again, that put a lot of stress on our relationship. But I was so robotic and one track minded regarding a goal because at that point I was prepping for my pro card. And you're telling me I have an opportunity to be a pro in a sport that I'm starting to really fall in love with. Like, again, you know, I was willing to sacrifice a lot. And, you know, I hate to say it, but even our relationship at that time, it was just like I was so focused on something that maybe he's right. I didn't need to be as robotic as I was, but that was the only way that I knew. And now, you know, being in the sport for a little bit longer, I'm learning ways.
You learn as the years and
exactly.
You go through more preps.
Exactly. So, you know, there's a lot of trials and tribulation. During that prep, I lost my job. I lost 3 family members within a 2-month span. 2 of them were within a 2-week span. And it was my grandma was the first true, like, close family member that I lost. And that killed me. And then we also bought a house, like, to move down here that was to be built. So we still had a little bit of time, but I lost my job during that after the biggest purchase of my life.
Yeah, we literally bought the house. We took a trip down to Florida and just spontaneously bought a house. And then a week later, he lost his job. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be like paying this entire mortgage by myself?
Like, so she has been with me, guys, through so much bullshit. And even to this day, man, I literally remember going in to the room, like sitting you down and
I was like, what's wrong?
and talking to you, like, and breaking it to you. I had to start crying. Like, that was a moment, dude, that was the moment that I realized that she had my back, no matter what. Because, again, we just made a big purchase. You know, I was still in prep. That was 2 weeks out, guys. Do you imagine how much cortisol that I had? My cortisol levels just raised right through the roof and added so much pressure and stress to my, you know, my look. And you fast forward, you know, 2 weeks, you know, we brought home the pro card and won the overall, and things started to turn around, I guess. And doors started opening, you know, opportunities started to, you know, arise. And I started to find a new passion within what we were doing. Content creation, telling my story, telling my journey. And even still, I think a little bit to this day, it's a little new for you, or still something that, you know, is a little bit foreign. But like, I think you started to see like the level of passion that I had towards it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, even though this whole world is kind of like, I'll put it this way, guys, I would record in airports. Like, you know how confident you got to be recording in airports?
And I'm not that type of person at all. So
she's the type
I literally walk like the opposite direction.
I'd be holding the tripod, and she would just start like,
I would like act like I didn't know him.
Who is this asshole? Like, yeah. And, you know, again, I think through all of that, there's not many people who can say they've been through a lot of like the things that we've been through. I know everybody has their own individual stories, but there were so many highs and lows.
And also just like lifestyle changes in general.
Like, because again, I didn't
Like that most people would just like leave for.
Yeah, no question. And we weren't when you started noticing like the lifestyle changes, the energy, the mood, all that stuff, we weren't like tied in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had the opportunity just to say, nah, screw this kid. Like, oh, this is the same kid. Again, I was a jock. I drink all the time. I would eat bullshit. And I think the younger version of you connected with the younger version of me more than ever. That's why it was so easy. And then as I started growing and started seeing different passions, I think, that was, that would give you the opportunity to be like, okay, not what I signed up for. I'm out of here. But I don't know. I think it was a layer of something different. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think you saw something in me, maybe. I know I definitely saw something in you. And it was really easy for me to, stay around through all the bullshit. Don't get me wrong. There were days where I was like, fucking want to, but like, I don't know. The days that you weren't around, whether it was, I stayed at my dad's house during quarantine for a day so I could get to the gym a little earlier and then drive back to you. I just felt like a part of me was not necessarily there. And even when I travel now, whether it's shooting content, whether it's, for shows, whether it's, me and Juan are going on a trip somewhere, whatever it is, I feel it like that detachment that I'm missing something. And I remember just in Vegas, at the Olympia, I kept saying, it's like, I just want her here. I just want her here. I literally said it on Instagram Live. I was like, my fiance come today. I'm excited. I finally feel like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, man. It's different when you have, your person and your partner, because keep in mind, guys, relationships in general aren't easy. You'll always go through ups and downs, but at the end of the day, like when you're resting on your pillow, and I knew, and I still know, regardless of how much, I want to strangle her sometimes, I know, and I'm a lucky man to say the least. I guess, I know I can ramble on forever, but you've seen me start from amateur, my first show, summer shredding, winning the overall, then transitioning into the national ranks where I won my pro card. And then after that, you see me take my first loss ever in the whole entire sport at the DC Pro. All right. And now you've seen me transition to the New York Pro where I placed second, which, definitely almost was like a win in itself. And then 2 weeks later, I won my pro show, my first pro show, qualified for the Olympia. And then, we were ranked 14th in the world at the Olympia. This crazy journey. If you can like wrap it up, with a bow, what would you say the experience has been like? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
I don't like being put on the spot.
I know, but like you having such a unique perspective, right? Because you went from not understanding what to expect to starting to gain some knowledge on the sport in itself, and then seeing some trials and tribulations that taught me and you a lot about us. And now, at the highest level, when in the beginning, literally, I just wanted to prove to you that this is something that I can turn into something. Like that was literally my motivator. That was my drive. Like this is something that I can do potentially for the rest of my life. And now you saw me quit my full-time job in the mix of all of that.
Yeah, that was.
Right? Like there's been some shit.
I was crazy about that. I was like, no, you are not doing that.
Again, this is something where I had to like almost just bet on myself for. Like that was the second time I truly bet on myself. First was not going to college. And then after that was literally turning away a really good paying job, by the way, to focus on my dream of becoming the best bodybuilder and online coach in the world. And then stepping on stage at the Olympia. So like that has made our relationship go like this in terms of just emotion, right? So like, again, what would you be able to like, what's a word or, what can you kind of give advice for people who maybe have, somebody that they're dating in a similar situation that you?
Yeah. I don't know. I would just say always be there for them, just because you're going to have your ups and your downs every single day. They're going to want to quit many days out of their prep. You're going to want to strangle them for their mood swings. But I think just being there for each other and helping each other get through it will take you really far. So I don't know. I think like that's just the most important thing about it.
Yeah. And again, you were the catalyst to a lot of this, like, as much as you probably wanted to tell me to stop or just, I don't know.
Like when you would wake me up at like 11 p.m. and you're like, can you cook me a steak? And I'm like,
yeah,
I really don't want to, but like, I know like he needs it more than I want to lay in bed right now. So
yeah, like literally that's like, it's just moments like that she supported what I was doing and I needed that. And it led us to this, I think our relationship right now is stronger than it's ever been. No question. We're literally getting married. We're planning our wedding. And it's just, show them the rock. Show them the rock. Oh, yeah. That's what chasing your dreams.
He did good.
That's what chasing your dreams can get you. And we got it, man. We made it. Job not done, though. You have a lot of planning to do. Maybe some little bodybuilding Alex is running around in a year or so. I just put a time limit on that. I shouldn't have done that. But our experience,
And no, we're not pregnant.
No, we're not. Dad, Mom, calm down. All right? Calm down. Christian, calm down. You're not losing your training partner. Calm down. But like I said, I'm the luckiest man in the world. I get to wake up to do what I love to do on a daily basis through all of that journey, like I mentioned. I get to do it with the people who I care about. I literally get to wake up next to the person who I love on a daily basis with a big smile on my face. I got 2 beautiful dogs, not kids, 2 beautiful dogs who are literally the highlight of my world. And I am building the life that I truly envision. Maybe not even from the start, but literally as I envision my life, think about it. Like, we have a beautiful home. We're just in a beautiful city. We are surrounded by a beautiful company. And I just never would have ever imagined that this, at the age of 26, would be my reality. And it started with you. It started with the ability for you to, see something in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself and stick with me through it all. So, guys, if you are in a similar situation, or it might even look gray, in a situation that you are in, you can change it. You can even stick with it when it comes to the person. Because again, there's been a lot of times where we didn't think this would necessarily work because of some of the decisions and some of the passion stuff, that I had compared to what she was looking for. But we committed and we didn't give up. And I think that is the story of us. We didn't give up. We supported, we pushed each other, stayed committed, and we were driven. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up the first ever, what is it, Wine and Whey episode?
No.
So guys, if you can, let us know if this is something you want to see more consistently. Keep in mind, we have a name for it, but the plan was not to start a podcast. Like, this isn't like,
it's not my, not my scene.
Trust me, like I mentioned, guys, to get her in front of the camera in itself is like not easy, but this is just something we thought of, and now we're bringing it to life. And if this is something you want to see more of, let us know. Maybe different topics you guys want us to hear of. Soon enough, you're going to see this whole area be decorated. Like, we invested a lot of money. Right now, we're in our apartment that we literally completely turned into a content house. Like, we don't live here. We don't want to have a bed here. It's literally in the other room editing now. My office is here, and our studio is being, built here. This is just, again, another, passion that we just started to create. And why not have a podcast, right? So, again, let us know if this is something you guys want to see more of. If you guys have any additional questions based on our relationship, any way that we can help you guys, don't hesitate. I think that's literally what I do this for. I'm very big on giving value back, and I love what I do. So I appreciate it. I love you guys. Good episode. See you guys in the next one. Peace. Dude, you did a great job.
I'm proud of myself.
You killed it.
I didn't laugh uncontrollably.
Bro, she absolutely killed it.